Welcome to the Brothers and Sisters podcast. This is what's coming up next, so stay tuned.
Most men, well, at least for the majority of, at least the development of the West, have been like, I earn money, like I provide.
My
And
work.
if you're confronted with a woman who makes more money or can provide for herself, there's like a lack of self-worth. There's an organized online effort to curb the First Amendment rights of one Kevin Samuels. We've covered him many times on the Brothers and Sisters. He's the black dude, the image consultant who, pretty much says that, black women aren't shit, I guess, more or less, and they should be happy that, certain men pay attention to them.
Ugly black women aren't shit.
Yeah, ugly black women aren't shit.
Well, no. This last two, he was talking about how you need to push.
No, didn't he give Break Beyonce like a 6 or some shit? Was that him?
Yeah, he rated her.
Yeah, I think so. You need to push pretty black women, and then he also had white women and Latino women instruct black women on how to keep a man.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, he's how to keep a man, assuming that everybody wants to do that. Like,
hey, that's where he is. I don't know what to tell you, ladies.
Yeah,
That's how Kevin Samuels is getting down.
Yeah.
So my first question is, do these change.org petitions really do anything?
Nope.
Other than showing how many people are angry about a particular thing, or how many people want a thing to happen?
Pretty much what it is.
Why are we saying his First Amendment rights are being violated? No, they're not. The platform says there are rules and guidelines, and either you abide by them or you don't.
Well, that's the thing, though. He's not breaking any rules and guidelines, though.
Right.
No, I mean, I don't understand this. Like, if you don't like him, don't listen to him. I don't.
If you're slandering black folks, you got free reign. There's no platform that's going to stop you from doing that.
Yeah.
You see that TikTok video with the TikTok creator where he was putting like black success or Black Lives Matter, and it would flag the shit, but he would just flip it out with white and it'd be fine.
Yeah.
Like, it's built into the fucking technology.
It's in the algorithm.
Yeah.
To dismiss everything that has to do.
However, he still needs to take his punk ass over and sit down somewhere.
Oh, for sure.
Why
he can say whatever he wants to say.
Whatever he wants.
And why people listen to anything he has to say, unless people are just looking to reinforce what they already believe.
I know some dudes who swear by Kevin Samuels. What I want to know is why women call in. That's what I want to know.
That's what I don't understand.
But I think it goes back to like why so many people read Steve Harvey's book. Right. I mean, it's like 3-time divorced man, give me advice on how to land a husband.
Yeah. Because I think a society makes women feel like we're inadequate if we are not attached to a man. So, people are going to exploit that and try to tell women these are all the things you need to do so that you can have one of us and keep one of us. And a lot of times that means diminish yourself and
shut up, essentially. It's just shut up and behave.
Just shut up and do what a man wants you to do. And that is how you keep one. And some women do subscribe to that, and that's their choice. And maybe the women who call in subscribe to those types of beliefs.
So it's like a guilty pleasure. Some of them probably want to call in to see if they can compete with him on a back and forth intellectually or whatever. And then some feel like, he ain't talking about me because I'm a bad bitch. So what you got to say about me? You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's essentially the same thing as like, hotepness. It's the same kind of like, you have women now who are like, you can freeze your eggs, you can travel, you can live life. You don't have to wait for some bum to knock you up to have a family. Like you can actually have more agency. And Kwasi, we've talked about this. When a party or people in power start to lose a little bit of it, nobody likes that.
Oh yeah.
That's how we got Trump. So it's like nobody likes to feel like the women that maybe used to sit by their phones waiting for you to call now have a whole new man because Cardi and Megan are telling them it's hot girl summer, fall, winter, and you can do what you want. You can sit on whatever you want, and you don't have to wait for anybody. Why do you think they get so much? And yes, their stuff can be a little raunchy, But you know what I mean? It's this thought process of like, how dare you? Not wait.
There was a thread I posted on my social media. This dude like broke down like how like there was a dude who broke it down. He's like, men have been like pretty shitty forever. And like now we're in like an age where it's like women don't need like men as much as they did. And so like men can't handle it. So because they've been raised in an age of shittiness. So like now, like at this time, at this point in time, they don't know how to be less shitty because society's just all been about it. Right. So indulging like the shittiness. So like now that's where this crisis of what's happening to these women, or like, you know, with Kevin Samuels, it's you know, the idea of relationships are you're a woman, you have to be everything that a man wants you to be. Otherwise, it's somehow your fault.
Of course, because it's always your fault.
Which is the kind of sort of what Cece was just talking about. That's what the hierarchy is. That's what it's been, right? I mean, that's patriarchy 101. I'm just curious to see, and I guess Sean brought it up, like maybe it's like a challenge thing. Like there would be no Kevin Samuels if women didn't call in. He'd be done. It would be over. Like no one wants to listen to a man talk to other men about like what's wrong with women. That's literally hotepness. Like his idea is, I'm going to get women to buy in on this, like call me for advice or ask me questions, and I'm going to shit on them. And like it's going to be hilarious for everybody to see.
There's money to be made in harassing Black women and angering Black women, and it's like people, they know what our triggers can be.
So on the other side of that same coin, Autumn, you'll probably know, who was the dude that told women how amazing they were and then got caught cheating?
I remember that guy.
And then got caught cheating and had his wife sitting there looking like a hostage.
With the bonnet on.
Oh, with the bonnet on, yeah.
Something was like the breastplate of righteousness.
This is the bonnet of righteousness. I can't even remember his name because I just never listened to him.
Jackson.
It's just
yeah, that's who it was. Yeah.
What's his name? Weird name.
Jackson.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Derek Jackson.
Everybody is making money off of like Black women's like need to be married or their pain or whatever. Because he's just the same. He's just the opposite side of the coin.
Quasi, you and your boy talking about what's the demographic? What we got target? What age group? What group of people?
Oh yeah, Andre Borchuk. Yeah, Andre Borchuk. He said he was talking about in 2013. The entirety of the internet, the entirety of social media is all about targeting Black and Latino women aged 11 to 25 because they run the internet. So like if you can get things that you get that demographic engaged, like that'll be where it is. He was saying in 2000, it stays with me. That's another thing. It's so, and here we are.
Accurate prediction. I mean, if he said this in 2013.
Yeah, I mean, it's
playing out just as he said.
It's literally, I mean, he went back to making apps.
And it's engagement that, you know, is the concern, and engagement doesn't have to be positive.
No.
Just engagement, period.
You can get an interaction with someone by poking at them and making them angry, and it's going to benefit you, and you're the type of person that doesn't care. It's easy money.
It's easy money. But yeah, that Jackson dude and then like Kevin Samuels, they're just like the same, just like the different sides of the same coin. It's like, Queen, you're beautiful. Never to accept less than what you deserve. He's like, get a man like me.
When I am your husband, then you should be more forgiving. And
now that I've been caught with my parents,
those other guys,
literally.
I'm gonna tell you what I learned. I think I'm the oldest and the longest married on this thing right here, right?
True.
Yeah. So here's what I'd say. Here's the secret to keeping a man: always be right. That's it. My wife is always right. She ain't never fucking wrong.
Yeah.
That's the answer.
I think there's almost the opposite of the idea. I saw something where we're actually gonna have him on. Where there's a comedian. Actually, he's from Detroit. He's a rapper turned comedian.
Good boy.
He just posts these these ridiculous like gifs and memes. It's so funny. Ron Kelly, he was like, there was like a wedding where like the bride was like washing the groom's feet. And he was like, ladies, would you do this? And there must have been 150 chimed in. It was like, there's so much wrong with this. And then, but some were like, I do this at home. And some were like, yeah, I'd probably do this. So I think there's a range. I mean, of course, like anything else, there's going to be a range of responses.
Of course.
Like the Walter's idea, the idea that it's a kind of the reverse subservience, right? Like your wife is always right, or and then what he's saying, or what can be interpreted as saying is you're wiser, right? So like if you find that when listening to your wife or significant other, hey, she's always right. That's probably a good way to keep a dude around too. Because Lord knows we aren't going to be right.
Everyone always said that relationships are 50-50. That's bullshit.
Yeah.
Relationships are 100-100. Both people are responsible for 100% effort.
Yeah.
And I think that historically, up until yesterday, you know, it's always been women give X in this way, men give Y in this way, and that's the structure of the household. I can tell you this: my business wouldn't be where it is right now if it wasn't my ride or die, right?
Yeah.
You know, and the fact that it came back full circle, right? Because while she was in school, in grad school, I was holding her down. You know, that's how it works itself out, and hopefully this little business I got here will retire us both, and we can, you know, sit back and have multiple people behind us training other people and doing stuff.
And that's the thing, Walter, like that's actual advice. But the thing is, like, a lot of people don't really want to hear that you sacrificed something while she also did. It's basically like, my career matters. You sit there and shut up. If I cheat, well, then you forgive me and let's move on. So it's like, what? But God bless us if a woman cheats. So like,
I got a different outlook on that too. So, you know.
And I'm like, I don't listen to this foolishness because I don't care. I've largely lived the life that I've kind of wanted. And so like, I've, you know, men have been here for most of it. And so, you know, and like Autumn said, it's this notion that like, to keep a man under the assumption that you actually want to keep everybody. Everybody isn't supposed to be kept.
Right.
People stop wanting to hang out, and it's not a big deal, but it's like,
it's natural. I mean, most relationships are not going to last.
Most of them are not. Yeah.
And even whenever you make the choice to get married, like people change all the time, which goes to, I think, Walter's point that both people should be putting in 100% all the time. It seems to me like a lot of people don't look at a relationship as like a team effort. It's like jockeying for control, and
like who has the power, who can
and it's always like this battle, you know, when it comes to like heterosexual relationships, always this battle of the sexes and who's right and who's wrong and who should accept what, and it's kind of like,
and all of that, exactly, Autumn. And I think like the Kevin Samuels and all this stuff is just like, who's jockeying for power. And if you're in a relationship where you're playing chicken, you should probably stop.
Exactly. You should not be looking for power within a relationship. You guys should be working together.
To build power in a relationship.
Right.
Control.
You should be a team. You're working together. Like, you want your partner to have the best that they could possibly have. And you want to be able to trust that your partner feels the same way about you. Mm-hmm. And whoever's got whatever skill to do whatever should be pitching in whenever they can. I think. And if you want to make certain rules, like, I'm the man, I do this, and a woman does that, but you're both comfortable with that, cool. Like, but this should all be on an individual
basis. This is individual basis.
Exactly.
And these guys are talking like there's like this formula for this one way to behave for every relationship on earth. Every man doesn't want to.
Kevin Samuels and the other dude and Steve Harvey.
And they don't factor in nuance.
We're not factoring in nuance. And we're in a completely different time now. People have like open marriages. Maybe they don't tell everybody, but like people have different rules that they're living by. You have lives where women make more money So like, you know, what are you gonna do in that household? You do as I say. As
right. Or I mean, and a lot of times those households struggle because, you know, if the woman makes more money, a lot of times men say, "Oh, I'm totally okay with my
I am.
more than me."
Yeah.
I believe that you legit.
I am.
But there are plenty of men who say they're okay with it, but then when it
They're
happens,
not.
they're not.
it's like that
That goes to
episode
the
of Martin. Whenever Gina started making,
Whatever has a problem spending the money, they have a problem that it was
that goes
made
to
by
the
you.
that goes to that shittiness part and that thing that I said. Like most men, well, at least for the majority of, you know, at least the development of the West have been like, I earn money, like I provide.
My
And
work.
if you're confronted with a woman who makes more money or can provide for herself, there's like a lack of self-worth, right? As far as men are concerned. And that's what you have women now. There's like a cottage industry of women who are like, what about our boys, right? And like they're cleaning up now. It's like we've forgotten in a race to boost girls. Oh, we've completely forgotten about boys. There's a cadre of white women making a lot of money, worried about men. Starting, obviously, Christina Off Summers is at the top with, you know, kind of that inverted feminism or what she would call real feminism, which of course is about boosting men, like women are boosting men. But I'm talking about there are women now that are like, our boys are being left behind and like they're making money off of.
But these were like the anti, like Katie Stantons and all of them back in the women's suffrage movement. There were always women, and they tended to be white, who were like, but we're happy baking pies. And
you can bake pies. That's fine.
You go ahead and make pies, but don't
White only pie.
else.
Why can't I support you making your pies and you support me?
Right, exactly.
Like, because there's nothing wrong with either. There's
nothing wrong with either. Like, look, with Kevin Samuels, if people want to listen to that and take copious notes and live like that, I say fine. But like,
I mean, you're ultimately going to end up in probably an emotionally abusive relationship. But if you're okay with that, go for it. It may not look like that to you. It'll look like that to me, but maybe you're okay with being with the. I mean, if you want to be with a man like Kevin Samuels, then go ahead and listen to Kevin Samuels. But if you don't want to be with someone like him, why would you even listen to him?
Some of them with lack of self-esteem were most comfortable in those type of relationships.
I was gonna say that. Like a lot of times men will say, like, oh, well, if a woman makes a certain amount of money and she can do this and she can do that, well, then what does she need me for? And it's like you have to expand your concept of what being a provider actually is. It doesn't have to just be money.
And then within
men don't want to work on their emotional intelligence and develop that, because a lot of women would be happy to be with a man who doesn't make a lot of money but can provide in like a multitude of other ways.
That was within the thing I shared. Like he was like, I'm going to upset some people, but like here it is. He's like, your father, your grandfather, your great-grandfather, all those men that you love, that along with your mother, your grandmother, your great-grandmother, those are probably shitty relationships. And he was like, oh gosh.
It's true.
And like people like chiming in like
happy. A lot of grandmothers, and you know, women will always say that. And I just recently read something about, like, I don't know if it was a meme or just something I saw on Instagram, and it was like, you know, why is it that women are always talking about how their grandmothers were unhappy, and men romanticize, you know, these relationships with their grandparents? And the person was like, because we were in the kitchen talking to grandma, we were outside running around doing whatever.
It's Sealy sharpening the razor blade.
Yep. Right. It's like, oh, well, I'm in this. It's what it is, but if I had my brothers, it would not.
Hey, what was his name, Mr.? He was definitely on some Kevin Samuels shit.
Oh yeah, that's. I mean, I feel like
black, you're ugly.
I'm sure the man saw The Color Purple and was like, so exactly what was wrong with Mr.? I mean, she had a big house, she had somewhere to live, like.